Hey again, it's me coming to you on a Friday night. TGIF, I'm actually still in the office, but everyone else is gone and I'm trying to wait out a little bit of rain. So I thought, why not just check in with the Battle Royale All Stars viewers? Um, so when we last left off, there was a lot of anxiety about the immunity challenge with Flood. And I feel like Flood is one of those challenges where if you don't have the web app or the web version and you're manually editing, it gets tedious really fast. And so I think it grates on people. It's tough. If you had the link to the puzzle, which we got in the results, I think that it would have been much more straightforward. But in the lead up, I was really proud of myself. Um, I had a bit of an assist from Conqueror because he had math. He'd basically done the first half of the puzzle for most of us and gotten a really good setup that had multiple paths to a pretty solid score, a seemingly solid score, because granted, we had no idea what the recommended completion number was. It turned out to be 20, which was kind of where we were at on our first go around, but in the morning slash early afternoon yesterday, I started to really think, Conquer gets us 10 moves in with yellow, and then we want to get lower than 20. So basically, I knew that if I couldn't essentially eliminate a color on the 14th move, because you had to eliminate all six of the colors, there was no reason to keep going down that rabbit hole. So I basically mathed out kind of I think it was 125 different possibilities for what course you could take because you couldn't do yellow again. So we had to do red, orange, green, blue, or purple. And then you have five options from there and five options from there. And so played out all the reds to start, all the configurations of, red, orange, red, et cetera, and was planning to really just sit back and do that for as long as it took to get to hopefully 19 to see if it was even possible. And got to a solution actually pretty quickly. I was in the middle of doing the reds. So I didn't even have to really try more than 20 combinations before I hit one that allowed us to get a path that ended in 19 as opposed to 20. And I was still really nervous. I wanted to see, is there a way we can shave more time off? So using kind of the same strategy and knowing that because we had 19, we would need to get to 18 to really make it worth our while. I knew that if there was no way to completely knock out a color by the 13th move, there was no way to get an 18 using Conquer's data. And so quickly just kind of assessed that based on Conquer's path, the maximum, the minimum moves was going to be 19 points. And then in a perfect world, I would have had time to play around with some alternative routes, but I didn't really have enough time yesterday. So I was just hoping and praying that it was enough. And honestly, I was pretty prepared to lose just because I feel like there are some challenge crazies in this cast. I mean, some of these tiebreakers and individual heat times have been insane. Mogwen having Doomslayer, Dochet, and Zero, and then Lindell having Celestia and Daisy, who's no slouch. I was definitely prepared for it to be a situation that they may have even beaten us on points, but even if we tied, I was really nervous for the tiebreaker. And then Conquer did the tiebreaker and felt really not great about it. So I was just like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to get at least 19, and then we're just going to get yeeted in the tiebreaker. Fortunately, the results were posted pretty quickly last night, and we finally got the link to the puzzle on Simon Tatham's site, which would have been really helpful. Might play around with that at some point, but I think it's a little too soon right now. But once it got, the announcement was that it was first and second place, I actually had a spark of hope, and then it said 19 moves, and I knew that we were one of the winning tribes. So that was an insane, just great feeling to know that, because I took the time to really game out girl math, yay, how to get less than 20, we ended up winning. And so I've always said, speed is not going to be my strong suit. When I can really sit and think and I have time to process, that's when I'm going to shine. So this was a really exciting moment for me, because I feel like I haven't been the strongest in the challenges. I'm not always the weakest, but I feel like in these past few challenges, I haven't really, my spot the difference was pretty rough. I lost my heat in the 3 face-off challenge, so seeing this result was incredible. And out of the last 3 challenges, this one was the most important to win because of the dissolve that's happening. So essentially, and we do need to talk about this, because Lendell's tiebreaker was 13 seconds and our tiebreaker was 12 minutes. It's crazy, the difference there. But yeah, congratulations to Lendell, I guess. But congratulations to us too. We definitely, I think, earned it. I feel like I earned it. I'm really, really excited, because I think that this is a turning point in the game that hopefully can put me in a position to at least guarantee that I'm going to be at the merge, barring anything catastrophic. So because we've won, it's going to be a pick'em between the Mogwins. So they had it in 20 moves, which was close to us. We almost were a 20-move team, but in the last, 8 hours or so, we kind of turned it around. So that was really great. The cave, Leah decided to bounce. I don't know if she needed it, but she's safe. So what basically they're left with is a tribal of only 7 people. And then knowing that Zag had his key, I really wanted him to, or not his key, but his invader, I really wanted him to use it, because this might be the last time that he has an opportunity to use it, because I think the invader powers expire at the merge, which makes sense because you don't have another tribe to invade. I also wasn't sure, I'm sure it's in the rules somewhere, but I didn't know if more than one person could do the invader at one time, so I wanted him to use it really fast, just in case. We pretty much expected Daisy had the other invader, but wasn't confirmed until she did end up using hers as well. And so it's a 7-person tribal council, and 2 votes are being basically poached from the situation. So we will see. It sounds like Zag is getting a lot of information from all of the chatty Cathy's on Mogwin. They seem to have some preferences as to where they want to go, which is natural, I think. It's interesting. It sounds like they're all kind of falling over each other, but they're still going to go with the basically easiest vote, which sounds like it's going to be DK. I'm just hearing various kind of snippets from Zag, who also gets to talk to Daisy. So it's been interesting to hear him report back. One thing that gives me a little bit of cause for concern is that Zag told me very quickly that Zero thinks that he and Conquer are basically screwed on this tribe, and that's absolutely not true. I mean, if we'd lost, it would have been Quilava probably 5-1, or 4-1, because I'm guessing we would have had Daisy do the invader here. But it's interesting because just a narrative is developing. I think that maybe outside relationships are influencing the game, more than I personally believe that they actually are. I'm working with Aerith, who's basically my best org friend. But it's a situation where our interests are aligned. So it's not as though I'm going out of my way to work with people that I know or I'm friends with. I'm closer alliance-wise with Conquer and Zag than I am with Spyro at this point. And that's nothing against Spyro as a person. I love Spyro. I want him to go far in this game, but it's not like we sit around and, plot, so to speak. It sounds like Daisy voiced similar concerns to Zag, so I guess suspicions confirmed. I feel like Aerith has been telling me I'm paranoid when I say that, I don't know, girl, I think that, Daisy could be a problem. And it seems that there is some rumors going around about basically like the dismantle void thing that happened in Survival Horror All Stars seems to be kind of rooting its head here. So I'm guessing that there's just an assumption that I automatically linked up with Aerith and Spyro, and that Quilava came along with Spyro because of the fact that they're married, and that we've just been picking off everybody else on this tribe the whole time. Whereas the truth is obviously much more nuanced. In fact, Quilava probably would have been the first to go on this tribe if, Spyro hadn't felt a certain way. And that's based entirely just on social, just structure and coherence. So it's frustrating to hear that people are starting to just assume that there's some sort of pregame built-in kind of friends alliance. Apparently Doom has mentioned similar things, which is annoying. I'm starting to wonder if maybe Doom was the one that told Lara to watch out for me and Celestia as opposed to Banjo. But I don't know. It's interesting because I think we're probably going to try to get Doom over here in the pick. And so I'm going to have to figure out how to handle all that. But more on that in a bit. Zero has also been saying that apparently Ochette desperately wants to be on our tribe, not Lindell. And that's also cause for concern, really trying to make Zag think that he and Conquer are in a bad spot, which I don't believe is true. I think I'm tighter with them than Aerith is, and I don't think that I can speak for Aerith in terms of long-term game, but they are by far two of my closest 3 relationships at this point, rivaling the only person in the game that would maybe rival that at this point is Celestia. And at this rate, I don't think I'm dubious that she will make the merge on the tribe that she's on, which is unfortunate, but sometimes you get swap screwed. So we'll have to see what happens. but Zag's going to get an extra vote, which will be good. And then I don't know who Daisy's going to steal from, but she'll have an extra vote as well. And then tonight will be the pick'em between the 7 people left, probably Mogwin, Sans, Donkey Kong. And so because Lendell won the tie, they'll go first, and we'll basically take turns for 3 rounds. And then the person left over apparently gets to pick what tribe they want to be on. So I guess getting picked last isn't always awful. I would like to see probably a combination of challenge, strength, people that I can trust, people that could potentially be booted fairly easily if we lose. And then I also really would prefer not to deal with anybody that has any sort of known power, or even theoretical power, really, but I would rule out known powers first. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in the treat that I have coming up, which is actually not 1, but 2 tier lists. So we'll start with the current makeup of Gelmir, which is myself and these 5 lovely individuals. And I don't think much has changed since my last check-in. I would still put Aerith and Conquer in the S tier. I would put Spyro in the A tier, but I do want to say that I've been a little bit worried about Spyro lately. I don't know if it's just the exhaustion from Euro, Final TC, or if he's just kind of bummed out about the situation with Quill here. He's been seemingly a little bit just down, and so I'm just kind of worried about him. Zag, I would say, continues to be an A, kind of an SA. And then Spyro's just kind of overall malaise would maybe put him in like an A minus. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Quilava continues to be very, I would say, unintentionally funny. We got a bunch of stories about his just series of misadventures, being kind of travel bound in Italy and then finally making it back, and all of his dramatic coworkers. Quilava's funny because sometimes I'll say something and I don't exactly know what he means, but I don't want to be rude and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'll just smile and nod and say something, and it seems to be working. Today he reached out to me and thanked me for being me, which was really random and sweet. So, I don't know. I like him a lot. I'm going to put him in B. And I think the fact that we're going to have some newcomers later tonight will maybe secure his position a bit longer. But we'll just have to see. Now, my second tier list of the night is going to be ranking the Mogwins on, well, the Moglooses on kind of if I want them to come to my tribe or not tonight in the pick'em. This is tough because honestly, so I'm trying to reconcile some things. Because I think that if some people go to Lendell, it could be a death sentence. For instance, I think that based on all of the gossip that Zag is getting from Zero and Daisy and Doom, I think that if Ochette went to Lendell, there's a pretty significant chance that she becomes a sitting duck along with Celestia. So I want her to come here just because I want her to be safe and to make the merge. And I know she's kind of busy right now, being out of the country. But at the same time, it kind of complicates what I've built over here in terms of my structure. And I know that Aerith has an alliance that predates her one with me from her original tribe with Spyro and Ochette. That said, Ochet's excellent in immunity challenges. She's somebody that I just get along with well, regardless of whether we end up working together or not. Um, I think that hopefully we can get her on the tribe, but we also have to just be careful that we're not raising any red flags by pushing too hard to get her. So I think that we put her in the second position for our list of folks that we want to have over here, primarily because of we decided we really want our first two possible picks. We want to get a challenge beast out of those picks. Our second pick, we want to get somebody that can maybe be an easy boot, and then kind of working down to the folks that we don't want to get here. And there were a couple of layers to that because we created a tribe kind of private chat to basically be candid and not have a bunch of people come in and see what we said about them during the decision making process. But there's also been a little bit of more high level talk because there's more knowledge, I think, about the existing kind of powers and just existing frame of thought in the activists. So Ochet would be somebody that I would love to see here. I am worried that she could be snatched before we get her because, like I said, we put her in the second position. So if she's one of, she's one of the first four, I think, for Lendell. I think that they would potentially snatch her if we have her second. Because potentially even 5, I guess, because if their first pick is not Doom and their second pick is, I think, I don't know. Odds are hard, but I think that it's risky to let her go that second position because I think they might see her as a piece that they can remove based on just the gossip that's going around about friend groups, and apparently there's some bi-city conspiracy theory. So she could definitely go, but I would love to see her here. She'd be one of my top choices. Donkey Kong, I would say he's probably not going to be a factor here based on the sounds of it, but Donkey Kong kind of falls in that category of kind of a free kind of pass vote. If we wind up at tribal, somebody who probably doesn't have any advantage that he can utilize, somebody that isn't going to have a lot of strong ties that are going to make people want to make waves to keep him around. And so he would definitely be in kind of that second category of person that we're looking at. Doomslayer's interesting. So I've heard, obviously, the rumors from Zag about him being concerned about Zag and Conqueror's safety, but I was also aligned with Doom, so I don't think there's any personal ill will between himself and myself. And he is very good at challenges as well. So I think that we're hoping to get Doom over here as well. And I think the guys really want him over here too, just so that they have somebody else to bro out with, which is kind of annoying, but I trust them, so it's like whatever. Just in thinking about the fact that he's probably gonna, if they don't take him first, then we'll get Doom since he's first on our list. If he comes over here, he knows the Celestia thing with her basic SOS. He also was privy to most of the alliances that I was on Liurnia, so I don't know if any of that'll come out. It'll be interesting to reconnect with him, though. We'll have to see. So in a perfect world, we'd get both Doom and Ochet, but I don't know. I mean, I think longevity-wise, I don't know. It's hard because I feel like Zag and Conquer want to play up the fact that people think they're in danger, but if they have a bunch of people over here post dissolve that are like ready to wage war on their behalf, it kind of gives up the game pretty quickly when they vote with us and don't vote with them. So we'll see. That said, I know Doom doesn't have an idol. Um, because Laura used the Liurnia idol, and so it's nice to have a piece on the board that at least we don't have to worry about advantages. So that's a plus for Doom. Leah's a tough one because she's really close with Conquer. I think they've stayed in touch since Vice City. Obviously, Leah was somebody who was maybe not my biggest fan on Liurnia. She's been floated as another potentially easy option to boot if we lose an upcoming immunity challenge. Conquer has already stated that he doesn't think that he can go along with being a vote in that. So that could create a complication. But a plus about Leah is that she has basically buried her escape hatch, so to speak. So I think Leah would probably be like a B. Not the worst, but not the best option. I think there are more pros to the people above her in this list. Steve, I'm going to put Steve at a C. The reason I say that is that Steve is my biggest suspect for having the K-Lid idol. Could be somebody else, very possibly could be, but just based on the information I have, he might have an idol, and I would rather not deal with that at this stage in the game. So part of my hope out of this is to get basically the least amount of advantages over here as possible and have hopefully a somewhat smooth path to the merge. Which kind of brings us to Iron Mouse, who is known to have an extra vote from her invader journey. I think that Iron Mouse could be somebody that gets, I think it could go either way. I think she could get scooped up, though, on Lindell fairly quickly, because I think that she might be a potential number that Daisy wants to work with. So we'll have to see. Zero, I also absolutely don't want over here, just based on kind of the narrative that he's pushing. I like Navalot as a person, but I mean, the last game that we were in together, he was my closest ally, and I had a really good time with him. But I've been in All-Stars games where the overarching narrative has been, oh, pretty girl, let's hate her, in regards to myself. In all seriousness, I just have a lot of friends, so I guess people are threatened by my popularity. I don't know. So the last thing I want is Zero over here after he's basically told Zag that he wants to come here to help them out because he thinks they're in danger, and basically invite him into my house with a loaded gun because he has a hidden immunity idol and he could direct it at Aerith or myself. So yeah, Conquer's like, oh, I can talk to him, I can keep him from targeting you guys, but yeah, it's gonna be a pass for me, buddy. I'm sorry, Nab. I just think that in this game, I'm not comfortable with some of the gossip that's getting my back to me, and it's too convenient to be untrue. The pieces just fall together. So I'm hoping that Zero goes to Daisy, who I think that he actually has a semi good working relationship with, just based on kind of the lockout subforum banter that I've seen between them. They seem to be playing a little reputation game with plussing and minusing on the board. They both seem to have a similar theory with respect to friend groups dominating the game. And so let him go over there to whatever they're doing on Lendal and let it be fine. And then last and certainly perhaps least is Urbosa, who has, if you recall, been a bottom tier person for a tribe for quite some time. But in this situation, I'm going to actually rank her up here because I think that she could be a good fodder vote over here if we lose. Even better than Leah, perhaps. The downside between Urbosa and Leah is that Leah burned her key, and we don't know if Urbosa has one. But hopefully the numbers are such that we can have contingency plans in place just in case. And who knows if she even has a key. But yeah, that's kind of how we're looking at the board. And I mean, all due respect to Josh M, it's kind of part of the meme to be adversarial with him just because he's so over the top. I think it's great entertainment wise. It's just a little bit exhausting to deal with. He just makes me feel like I'm Brittany Haynes kind of dealing with Great Value brand. Rachel Riley in the Big Brother 12 house. Throwback, old school reference. But yeah, I think we'll see what happens here in a couple of hours. An hour and a half, actually. Wow. But it looks like there's some chatty squirrels and Eris in my DMs, so I should go see what they have to say. But it sounds like the rain has let up, so I'm going to wrap this up and head home and then get ready to be bombarded with our visitors, our new tribe mates. Good talk, and I will have another update soon. Dixie out.